Book Club, good morning. It's Luis D. Martinez. We're back at it again with Mr. Clear and Atomic Habits, Chapter 4. He's now diving into his laws. He has 4 laws. The first law is make it obvious. In my response and in my interpretation, I feel that this is basically his form of saying the first law is the cue, the second law is the craving, the third law is the response, and the fourth law is the reward, how you get to the reward. So right here in the first law, chapter 4, I truly did not like this chapter. I am going to go back and read it at least 3 or 4 times until I get it, but I do understand it. My issue here is that it's very hard and difficult to implement something that you're just not used to doing. He basically says that you need to develop this whole entire response of creating a habit scorecard. And if you sit there and you start doing that, it's cool. But that takes practice like anything else. And your rate of success is probably low because most of us don't have time to really sit there and process our lives like that. But again, I agree with what he's saying. I agree in the way that he's stating this, but the implementation part is extremely difficult. So Mr. Clear goes on to saying this. Let me read it to you. The process of behavior change always starts with awareness. You need to be aware of your habits before you can change them. I fully agree with that. You'll agree with that. Then he talks about the pointing and calling response. The pointing and calling response comes from the Japanese transit system. If you are a fan of Japan, if you want to visit Japan, you already know that their transit system is the best in the world. Their organization is extremely admirable. Their trains are usually on time, they are hardly late, and they are always clean. So he basically talks about the pointing and calling response to what members of the Shinkansen high-speed train are doing, where they basically call out every single command, they point to instruments, they point to process and procedures in order to eliminate mistakes. And the research that he states here says that New York, their MTA, adopted the same thing, dropping accidents by a certain percentage. I can't remember, and I'm not going to give you statistics because they never stick. But anyway, he says that you should adopt the same behavior toward your habits. Again, that's very difficult because if you're sitting there saying all of these things, don't get me wrong, I'm going to try it, but I just have my doubts. The funny thing about reading is that the more you do it, the more you try, and the more consistent you are with it, you start finding jewels, finding these little hidden treasures that if you don't pick up a book, you're never gonna know. And again, I don't fully agree with chapter 4. It's a little bit hard to digest in my opinion. I don't know why. I gotta get over myself. But at the top of page 64, Mr. Clear drops this jewel, and it goes like this. The more automatic a behavior becomes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. And when we've done something 1,000 times over, we begin to overlook things. I fully agree with that. We assume that the next time will be just like the last time. We're so used to doing what we've always done that we don't stop to question whether it's the right thing to do at all. I fully agree with that. Many of our failures in performance are largely attributable to a lack of self-awareness. That makes sense. We don't think about what we do. We don't think about our actions. We don't think about the consequences of our actions until things happen. And again, this part here really romanticized the whole entire idea of being self-aware all the time. And that's difficult because again, we are people, we have shortcomings, but the fact of the matter is that how we interact with our environment, our day-to-day actions really mean something. Those are the things that either propel us forward or hold us back. That self-awareness is what I picked up from chapter 4. I am not going to get any deeper into this because again, I want to leave tidbits and jewels and these little hidden treasures for you. But get the book. If you haven't gotten the book, in the comment section, if you're reading this book, tell me about it. Tell me about your experience, what you've liked from chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you're at in the book right now. If you have reread the book, if you're buying the book, if you're planning to get the book, tell me something. Share in the comment section. This is Atomic Habits chapter 4, and we're out. See you next Saturday.